Hi, and welcome back to episode 2 of Fostering Who Cares. I'm Rachel, one of the founders of Families First Fostering, a therapeutic fostering agency in the Midlands. As November is National Care Leavers Month, in recognition we're pleased to bring you this episode, focusing on the outcomes for care leavers and what we can do to support better outcomes. This episode is brought to you by foster parent Ricci, who shares his own lived experience both as a care leaver and also as an experienced foster parent. Alongside Ricci is Families First Operations Manager Louise Harkin. We hope you enjoy the episode.
Fostering Who Cares, episode 2 with Ricci Gretton. Thank you for coming today, Ricci.
Thank you for having me.
It's really nice to see you again.
It's been a while.
Yes. Ricci, in our previous episode, your partner John brings a lot to the table, as it were. And I think you guys as a tag team, as foster parents, you also have other hats, as it were, and you've got other, you've come into fostering for many reasons. I wanted to talk about why you care. The episodes are called, and the podcast is called Who Cares? And I know why you care, but can you maybe give us some more details and to the audience as to why you care in particular, please?
So John and I looked into fostering about 12, 13 years ago. We can't have our own children, obviously. And I was in care from the age of 11. Didn't have a particularly great time in care. And we wanted to try and make sure that we could have a better life for certain children in care.
Yeah. And when you decided to foster, that was that really, you felt that your experience wasn't the best? Is that what you're saying? Or do you want to give me a bit more on how that your experience was when you were fostered?
So I lost my mum to cervical cancer on the 21st of December 96. We share a birthday, so she just turned 29, I just turned 11. And pretty much from Christmas until about the summer holidays, I don't remember where I lived, who I lived with, what was going on. My years between the ages of about 6 to 12 are quite convoluted. I'm not quite sure how old I was. I have to try and remember where I lived to gauge roughly how old I was as to what was going on.
So you're saying that you had memory, there was gaps in your memory?
Yeah.
Would now in your role, not that, but I know you're sharing your story, but would you say now looking back as an adult and your fostering career and the knowledge that you have from the therapeutic training that you've had and your life experiences as well, but would you say that in some ways you blocked certain
definitely
experiences out?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely like a trauma block.
Okay.
Obviously, I was my mum's only child. Excuse me. We'd moved to Telford. She'd remarried. The marriage had broke down. Went to her best friend and her family. My mum became quite unwell, and then we moved into a little flat together, and she became quite unwell quite quickly. Really.
Yeah.
April. Obviously, she died in December.
And you were 11 at this point.
Just turned 11. She just turned 29. Yeah.
And that's secondary school. Were you about to go into secondary at that point as well? I mean, do you remember or?
96. So I'd have been going into year 6.
Okay.
So year before high school.
Yeah.
I'd definitely say looking back now, it's definitely a trauma block.
Yeah.
I have had my care file, which I've gone through, which is.
When did you first have that?
About 7 or 8 years ago.
Okay.
I met up with my leaving care worker before I'd asked for it, which was nice to see her. She, I've got good memories of her.
Yeah. And I'm glad you were able to reconnect and find her. And then you read the file.
Yeah, and there was an awful lot missing. There was bits in there that I couldn't believe were wrote down.
Was it the language you mean, or
100%? So I come from a little market town. Wasn't lots of people there at the time. And one of the first sentences that I read was that they'd found a support worker for me but she was black.
It said, but she was black.
But she was black, which is wrong. Yes, I appreciate it may not have been seen as a cultural match, but that terminology, and I think back and I know who that lady was.
Yeah.
It's quite upsetting. She'll never know that.
No.
But I know that, and
Yeah.
I find that so wrong for a professional to have wrote that down.
100%.
One of my, and I used Tim Carer for her. One of my carers wrote that I can annoy her just without doing anything. That's in my recordings.
Wow.
I had one set of carers who wanted me to call their mum and dad. That was never going to happen. I've had, I shouldn't laugh. One set of carers, she would lose the plot and cut the plugs off everything. If I was grounded, which I'd be grounded for anything. I had some rollerblades for my 13th birthday. I literally went 100 yards down the road, fell over the first time I tried them, scratched them, so she binned them.
Wow.
And I was grounded. I was locked out once when I was about 13 by this carer, barefoot. I walked 3 miles into town, found my dad in the pub. He brought me a glass of Coke and got me a taxi back. It was, I mean, I could, so many things that happened during my time in care.
Was some of that what you read and you remembered, or is this some of the things that you remembered anyway?
A lot, funny enough, a lot of this wasn't wrote down.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think I had.
Was your voice in that? Sorry. Did you, just to go back to the file, sorry. Was there anything there where you spoke?
No.
That's right. That's interesting.
Which.
Wow.
I left for a few years and then recently, probably about 8 months ago, I reapplied to Shropshire County Council for my care files and said, I know for a fact there was so much stuff missing. I remember the little orange booklets I had to write in, the greeny blue colour booklets that foster parents used to have to write in.
Yeah.
The meeting notes, it was originally delivered to me in 4 brown envelopes in no chronological order.
Really?
Obviously, a lot of it's redacted.
Yeah.
Which, for me, didn't matter because I knew who they were talking about, where I lived and stuff. I went and met the lady that made the first referral for me going to foster care.
Yeah.
Who I had an inkling I knew who she was.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, she wasn't a family friend, but she was always like a positive influence, and I'd always see her all the time, and I'd go around and she'd make me some tea and things like that and stuff.
Just the small things.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I found out recently she'd passed.
Oh, sorry.
Which I'm a bit gutted about, really, because.
But she seemed like she cared.
Yeah. And she was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Things like the little lady on the poultry stand on the indoor market, she'd let me stand there most Saturdays just talking to her at about, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe even younger than that.
Thank you for that. How many different foster parents did you live with? Do you have that information?
I had 4 supportive lodgings, kids home twice, and then set her off and slept on friends' sofas from about the age of about 16.
Okay. So you went into care at the age of
11.
Yeah. And then by the age of 16, you had 4 different foster homes that you lived in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what happened around the age of 16? How come do you want to talk a wee bit more about that?
Yeah, I went to short-term foster carers first. Lovely couple. Then I went to another set of foster parents. Didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones I wanted to call them mum and dad. Then I went to another set that were long-term, which was probably the worst 18 months of my time in care. 100%. Physically aggressive, mentally abusive. She was just not a very nice person at all, really. Ran away from there because I'd finally had enough. And that's when the social worker finally listened to me, when I point blank refused to go home.
Okay.
Went to a now closed down children's home in Shrewsbury.
Mm-hmm.
I quite liked that, actually.
Why? Was it freedom? I mean, I don't want to put words
I
in your mouth.
don't know. The first time, it was the second time I'd been there. I think maybe because I sort of knew it. I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
And then I went into, I think I went back to live with my dad. I must have done. And he lived in a little one-bedroom flat at the time. And my bedroom was a cupboard, basically. And I had to have physio on my legs because my bones had grown longer than my muscles. And it had done something with the angle of my bones or something. I don't know. That didn't work out. And I ended up going to a little old lady who was then classed as a kinship carer. We had to say she was a family friend and stuff, but she was kind of like, she was the mother of a lady my dad knew, basically. And she was, can't fault her. You know, I wasn't the best. I wasn't the perfect child.
Yeah.
I'd had quite a few trials and tribulations.
Well, you didn't have an easy time of it, let's be honest.
No, and from like the age of about 2, maybe 3, it was 6 months with dad, 5 months with mum. And it was a very different time obviously for my dad. And in my young years, I did have a lot of anger towards him. And a lot of people don't understand how I'm forgiving of him for what I've been through.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the perfect upbringing.
Yeah.
He had a very bad upbringing.
Right, okay.
His mum died when he was like 3. And his dad, who was, to me, always a nice, lovely bloke, ruled with an iron fist. And I think I kind of appreciate that now I'm older.
Yeah.
That he did what he thought was best, or he was able to do.
Yeah.
I've got a little sister now. She's be 18 in December. I can't fault him. He's a great father to her.
Yeah.
And my stepmom, fantastic woman. Again, I can't fault her. She looked after my dad so well in the last few years. He's been so poorly.
Okay.
So yes, it was like 6 months with one, 3 months with one, back and forth. And then I eventually went to live with my mum. She became ill, and so on and so forth. Lived with this little old lady. Wasn't great. Ran away, stayed with friends in Shrewsbury. Went back, then went into supportive lodgings, and then moved into a hostel at about 16 and a half. I'd had quite a traumatic summer. A lot went on. And it was a little bedsit, probably no bigger than most people's living rooms.
Yeah.
And I absolutely adored it. It was my little safe space.
Yeah.
I had a little tiny kitchen area. I had a couple of jobs in pubs, worked at Netto.
Oh, wow.
Back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
School, college.
So in some ways you seem to be well equipped to look after yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you think you got that from, that resilience, and that, had you been taught that in foster care? Or?
No.
Okay.
No. I had a front door key at 6.
Right.
My dad I was quite independent living with my dad.
Right.
I was kind of made to grow up almost.
Hey.
I remember running away from school one day. I was in year 4. Ironically, I had 2 girls who were arguing over me. You know, little did they know that was not the best use of their time. And went home, back to the flat. Police came and took me to the police station because I'd run away from school. Dad came from fishing, told the police officer off. I went back home. Dad went fishing. I remember walking through town, probably 11 o'clock, midnight, to get money off my dad or some of his friends for his gas and electric.
Yeah.
Or
it seems that you adapted very well, didn't you, in some way?
Well, I had
the survival of the fittest, really, in some ways, isn't it?
And I've got older brothers that are my dad's children as well.
Oh, okay. And that's the same mother?
No, we've all got all 4 of us have got our own mums.
Oh, right, okay.
And growing up, I didn't know they were my brothers.
Right.
We were not close.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we're particularly close now.
Yeah.
But we're all there for each other if we need to be. And I think the older we get, the more we're trying to build on a relationship, which is lovely. Which I really like.
You're in the right place, as it were.
Yeah, because we've all had, obviously, a bit of trauma.
Yeah.
Growing up, which again, was part of the reason why we wanted to foster.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I guess, not to assume, we should never do that, but would you say that foundation, if want for better words, allowed you to really truly understand some of the children that's come into your home, even though every child comes, has their own path and is very individual in their own way? Do you feel in some way that you've been able to relate to the children more, or vice versa, they've been able to relate to you in you and John's experience of fostering?
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
would you mind giving me an example of that?
Yeah.
Maybe you've got the young person who's been with you the longest, who's gone through some of his own difficulties in the recent years. And for some reason, there's obviously a bond there for both you and John with him. He's still with you, and he's gone through so much.
He has gone through
a lot of police involvement, etc.
Yeah.
But you that stickability and commitment that you both shown to him when most people would have walked away. Do you think, it's a difficult question, isn't it? But do you think that your own journey in some way give you that wee bit more not understanding, but more resilience to be able to manage all of that, or not? I mean, am I going down the wrong road with this?
I've got friends growing up whose parents are still married.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Mm.
But they've also gone through different experiences in their life.
Uh-huh.
And I think for me, and for John, obviously, John and I have had very different lives.
Yeah.
And I think I'm able to relate more to children who have had these adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
And will never truly understand how they're feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
But I can say I do understand how you may be feeling. I'm trying to name the feeling.
Yes.
So like one of our boys came to us about 8 years old, couldn't tell if he was angry or hungry or upset or cold. He couldn't pick out the feeling. So we had to really try and name the feeling at the time he was feeling it. And I think children we've had appreciate maybe that we're not a 2.4 children family. We don't.
But they obviously seem to feel. Sometimes words don't have to be spoken, because in relation to the commitment, how you can let situations that come go in many ways. Use this pace approach, and you've got it in the back of your mind where you and John have these conversations about you really understand, as I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
And we have got wrong for the humour aspect of it sometimes, but life is so difficult. And these children are thrown into this whirlwind of emotions and experiences, and, some of them are removed from school. They go to school as a normal day and they're used to going home, and whatever happens at home, that's their life. They're used to that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're thrown into being picked up from school or from home sometimes, as often happens, and thrown into this new family and expected to fit in straight away.
Yeah.
That's not fair on them.
No.
And you can't expect them to just do that. They need to be able to feel the way they're feeling, and you need to be, and that's where I feel John and I are very good at, allowing them to find their feet.
That takes time.
Yeah.
And patience and perseverance. Because, moving from home to home is just as damaging as coming into care in the first place. We know that, don't we? Research tells us that. And the trust has gone for a lot of these children. The trust is probably left for you from having adults tell you, yes, this is your forever home, or whatever it may be. So that takes a lot of time, and understanding that is key, really, isn't it? You'd agree? Yeah.
Yeah, language definitely plays a big part in it.
Aye. And going back to what John said in the previous episode, you are very good at advocating, you and John, on making sure the child's voice is heard, and making sure that all professionals bring the child's voice into those meetings. And there's many, many meetings.
There are many, many meetings.
Yes.
And again, unfortunately, we will not just stand by. And just because a school or the social worker think that that's best for that child,
Yeah.
they don't know that child 100%.
You're there 24/7.
Yeah, that child is ours. We live and breathe that child.
Yeah.
And if it's not right for the child, we will not shy away from telling the people it's not right for that child.
And then you do that very well. So that leads on to, because this role fostering, it can wear you down in some ways. So I'm always conscious, and I think going back to working with John as well, because you work full time, and we can come on to that in a second. But I'm always a strong advocate that we need to keep ourselves fresh and learning, and doing new training, and bringing on guest speakers from other organisations like Bright Star and The Vision, Smash Life, all these different organisations that have work with children who themselves have been in care, who the children then can relate to and understand because they've walked the walk and talked the talk. It allows you to stay hopeful that what your role is really, really purposeful in many ways, isn't it? So on that note, you have a very understanding company that you work for.
Thankfully, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been at Fen 1875 since March 2013, and I was in customer services originally. John and I went to an open evening with a local authority regarding fostering to get a bit more information and see if it was something we could do. And we were basically kind of ushered out of the door because of my childhood.
Wow. Which
really shook us, didn't it? And then we'd heard about an agency, and we approached those, and I spoke to work and said, look, I kind of need a bit of flexibility. And unfortunately, the role I was in, you're there to deal with the customers, clients, etc., etc. And my MD, very thankfully, kind of amalgamated a couple of roles and moved someone around to help facilitate me and the flexibility requirement, but also the needs of the business, which John and I will be forever grateful. She's a wonderful boss. She's now the MD, which, in all fairness, I couldn't want to work for a better company.
So she's part of a group of people companies that work they have that tag where they are fostering friendly.
Yes.
Is the term, isn't it?
So when John and I became approved in 2015, Louise, I was discussing with Louise about the Fostering Network's Fostering Friendly Employers scheme. So we signed up for that pretty early on. We've recently signed the Care Leavers Covenant, and I've been to a couple of the Care Leave Covenant workshops and stuff recently. So we actively prioritise care leavers CVs for any vacancies we have going, and obviously understand that care leavers, when they come into the world of work, again, it's a big step for them.
Yeah. Because they don't deal well on most times with transition, do they?
No. I still struggle now.
Yeah.
Change wobbles me a little bit.
Yeah.
And unknown change can really wobble me. So they're not given, not a special dispensation, that's the wrong word. They're supported in, they might be a little bit late. They might, act in a certain type of way. They might do something different. And the business supports that and appreciates, obviously, that is a need. And we'll talk about it in a moment, but the Fatima Whitbread Conference, Terry Galloway said that he was fighting for care leavers to become a protective characteristic, which I think is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And is really something that needs to happen.
I think at least, don't quote me, but I think there's at least 33 different local authorities now have incorporated that into their
which is brilliant.
Writing. Yeah. It's fantastic, isn't it? And he works tirelessly, doesn't he? Going to the government and trying to change the system, as it were.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. So you touched on Fatima Whitbread's One Summit campaign that we both went to in April, One Voice Summit. And there was a lot of different heads of organisations at that, and people that work in the care sector. There was one particular man that was there. He was in charge of the prison system.
Yes, he was, yeah.
And he shared some information really that sort of left us back in April down in London at the Guildhall. It was a 2-day event, but he shared some stats and information that just really blew our mind, really, and reinvigorated for you and I that passion to. It's not necessarily change the system. You can do it one step at a time, just with the fostering that you guys do, but just to go out there and actively see how we can, be involved in that. Do you want to share some of the stats that he shared?
Yeah, I mean, it was breathtaking, really, wasn't it? Things like language, the way that certain languages are used, a lot of our young people won't understand or may interpret them as threats, which then heightens their behaviour, which then will either escalate things whilst they're already in custody,
Aye.
which I've been to the custody suite with one of our boys.
Yeah.
I was so intimidated and on edge the whole time.
Yeah.
I can't begin to imagine what he was feeling. Well, I kind of know what he was feeling because obviously we've talked about it, but it's such a scary place to be. And that's the thing, that the language that they use, we're not saying be fluffy and be nice. We're on about breaking it down, the way you speak, how you hold yourself. Yes, they are in authority. Yes, they may have done something terribly wrong, but being a care leaver and the traumas they may have been through, we're kind of not setting up to fail when they go there.
Yeah. So they're not trained in
like trauma informed. Yes, which I think
and
was another thing they run about is a lot of police forces now across the UK are going to become trauma enforced.
And schools.
Yeah. And school, obviously, we know working, we spend most of our week at work. Our children and young people spend most of their week at school. So schools need to be trauma enforced.
Yeah.
And we've had some amazing, and we've gone off topic.
Oh, that's okay.
We've had some amazing, absolutely amazing support from our local schools. And
it's just having an understanding really of the why again, isn't it? Yeah. Do you want to share some of the stats when it comes to, I wanted to touch on care leavers specifically and what we found out as well at this campaign over those 2 days Adam Whitbread shared.
Yeah, so things like real-time notifications for local authorities about being sent when a young person or care leaver is taken into care. It gives them a quick step into providing support for them so they're not there on their own. Data capture forms to include a care leaver's or looked after child so we can build a better understanding and make a more robust plan of action for early intervention.
Yeah.
Charlie even said that they don't know out of the current population in prison just how many have been in care.
That was horrific. Hearing that.
Again, took my breath away. One of the things about the child criminal exploitation law being passed next year, which is something that I can't believe hasn't already been passed.
Yeah.
Child criminal exploitation and child sexual exploitation are just, they're children. People are using children for, I can't get my words. It really upsets me. It almost hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And then, like some of the stats,
they're vulnerable. They
they're preying on them.
Yeah, that's exact
they're
words.
Finding vulnerable children that are going through
horrific. What I've already gone through horrific.
To then double down on it and potentially
prey on
they end up dead.
Yeah,
or in prison, or we know what happens to some of these children. Some of the other stats, though, like 19 to 21-year-old care leavers are 3 times more likely not to have a job. Again, life's hard enough as it is. How are they going to pay the bills? Only 6% of care leavers go to uni.
Wow.
Which, again, compared, I think it's about 46% of the peers go to university, which is mad.
It blows your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah. Care leavers are, as we know, or don't 100% know, but are overrepresented in prisons. Homelessness, mental health needs, suicide. It's, Chris Wilde lobbied Josh McAllister, one of the MPs, to make care leavers become a character protected characteristic, and
yeah.
thankfully a lot of people are starting to listen to that.
This next stat really, it just broke my heart.
This is horrendous. It doesn't break down, obviously, the hows and whys and wheres, but it doesn't need to. So care leavers are 70% more likely to die younger by about 20 years compared to the peers.
70% more likely to die younger by approximately 20 years. Now, we're not talking about a developed country or an undeveloped country where, you've got famine, you've got all these different, deprivation, all of this. We're talking about the UK, a developed country in the Western world where 70% of care leavers from the age of 16 are going to die by at least by substance misuse, abuse, vulnerable, preyed on. It's 70%. That's
It's a lot.
So this was why we've come away from the campaign more invigorated, I guess.
Yes.
Us, ourselves, Families First, John, really stepping back into that, staying close, making sure any of our children that have left the agency, who have felt that they've wanted to move on into independent living, which is great. We help where we've got the independent living skills program that we work with the child and the social worker and the foster parents, where we really try to set the child up to have those independent skills. Because when a child leaves care at 18,
which you shouldn't,
and they shouldn't, and we know that Gina Gardner and Fatima Whitbread are trying to change that age to the age of 25, and they've got a draft of a white paper that's there at the minute, and it's going through Parliament, and it will do in the next few months, where they're trying to actively try to change the age, because these children, never mind being preyed on when they're leaving care, and even that fact when they're leaving care, what does that mean? I don't even like that as language.
I think when I was in care, I think I was classed as a relevant child.
A relevant child. The language again, horrible.
Yeah.
But basically, what does that mean to that child? That means, well, thank you very much for everything, but actually I can't care for you anymore because
you're 18 in
you're
a day.
18 in a day.
Bye.
But chronologically they're 18, but mentally they're not.
No.
Yeah, we know that from everything that they've experienced. So we are setting them up to fail, and those figures were shocking. As I say, we knew this the last 10 years working in the fostering sector, but to get these cold stats in 2025 really just shocked us all over again, which, as I say, reinvigorated our passion to get involved in conferences, to bring in guest speakers, and to have this podcast as well, actually, and to share with everyone, all the different people that are out there behind the scenes. And like Fatima Whitbread, she's on television, she's climbing Mount Everest, she's Kilimanjaro, she's going up Snowdon, trying to really get the word out about trying to really understand these children, but to really give them that fighting chance to become a well-developed young adult, but the odds are stacked against them. We'd all agree. Yeah. Was there anything you wanted to add on to that?
Yeah, just saying about the 18 years in a day. It's not necessarily every child.
No.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
One of our boys, when he turns 18, if he wants to move out, he can move out. We'll always be there. We will always be there for him.
Well, you had a previous young
He's 25.
person.
He's got a family of his own, and he moved back down the road from us to be near
fantastic.
us. But yeah,
you are his family. You always will be his family. Yeah.
And like that's we say we claim them, don't we? But when they turn 18, a care leaver, 1 in 3 will face homelessness within 2 years leaving care.
Wow.
And some of the stories of what happens to people on the streets is just...
It's heartbreaking.
It's abhorrent. It's awful.
So, thankfully, how many years now have you been fostering? Yourself and John?
10.5.
10.5. Thankfully, you guys still have that passion to continue on this journey where you're still helping those that are vulnerable. We as an agency at Families First continue, like yourselves, to work tirelessly to help these children. The guest speakers that we'll have coming up in the next episodes will also share some of their stories and why they care. I just wanted to thank you for coming today, because I think it was, we've learned a lot in the sense of, well, I know I have, but just to hear your story I really appreciate that and appreciate that honesty and you wanting to share that. It was really, really lovely to hear. So thank you. You're okay. You're welcome. Okay, that's that. Thank you very much. Tune in next time. Bye.
Thank you to Ricci for joining us on this episode of the podcast Fostering Who Cares, and for sharing your experiences. We hope you all enjoyed the episode. Check back soon as we have more great guests lined up to share their insights into the world of fostering. You can also check out our website www.familiesfirstfostering.co.uk. Thanks again and see you soon.